Hello CraftDee Family, and welcome to another tutorial by She's So Crafty. For today's DIY project, we will be creating some fall and autumn themed DIYs using items from the Dollar Tree and inexpensive items from the home improvement store. Now these easy projects are great to get you started with your fall crafting. Now as always, all of the projects I create have complete supply lists in the description box so you can easily use it for reference as you gather your supplies. Now before we start, I have to say, hey to all of my subscribers, and if you're a new visitor to my channel today, I hope you consider subscribing as well and stick around to enjoy these crafts and the different tips that I will share with you all to make these super easy to make. So now, let's just jump right into the projects. Now this project is a pair of decorative lampposts. Now we're going to need 3 of these glass candle holders from the Dollar Tree. We're also going to need 2 of these glass storage jars from the Dollar Tree. And 1 set of these wood finials from Lowe's for $2.98. So I'm going to lay out my Surebonder silicone mat and grab up all of my candle holders and start by removing all of those tags. We're also going to grab those jars as well, and we want to remove the lids and set the jars to the side. Now what we're going to do is we are going to place one candle holder on top of the other with the tops on top of each other, and we want to secure these. Now if you want a permanent hold, you want to use E6000 for the connection, but I'm just going to use my hot glue for this project since I plan on repurposing this in the future. So I'm just going to apply my hot glue on top of that candle holder along the rim and place the other candle holder right on top until it bonds nice and secure. And then we want to take each one of those lids and we're going to place one lid on top of each one of them. So we're just going to apply another ring of that hot glue on top of there and place one of those lids right in the center on top with the open edge on the top of the candle holder. Now we're going to do the same thing with the other candle holder, and this time the lid will actually fit inside that ledge, which is great. Just apply a ring of that hot glue around the outside and place it right on the inside of the other candle holder until it is nestled into place. Now you can do these multiple tiers like I've shown here, or you can do them all the same height. Now we're going to prepare to paint them, but we want to clean them with rubbing alcohol first, and once we do that, I'm going to put a couple coats of this Krylon satin black spray paint. Now we're also going to take out our wood finials out of the package, and I want to put a couple coats of that spray paint on these as well. Now for our jars, you can keep these clear for your lamppost, but I wanted to give them a frosted effect. So what I'm going to use is some of this Rust-Oleum Frosted Glass Effect spray, and I am going to put 3 coats of this on the outside of my jars. So here is the finished look of the jars. I love how this frosted look spray paint works, and it's so easy to make. So in order to make the lines, you can use some electrical tape that's from the Dollar Tree, or you can actually paint these on if you have a very steady hand. Now I'm going to go with the electrical tape for my project. So what I want to do is I want to pull a couple strips off, and I want to place them on top of a cutting mat and just cut some strips off with my utility knife. Now I only needed 2 strips, and I put 4 here as a precaution because I did not know how long or how wide I wanted them. But I decided what I'm going to do is take my ruler and I'm going to cut strips with my utility knife about 1/8 of an inch wide for each one of the strips. You can make them as wide as you like, but here are all my strips cut with my utility knife ready to use for my project. So now I'm going to take my frosted glass jar, and I'm trying to decide how I want to space these using the lines that are on the jar, and I decided to go with 2 spaces apart. So I'm going to peel off one of my electrical tape pieces, and I'm going to start putting it on the jar, starting in the top center and then just following the line all the way down. Now you don't want to pull the electrical tape, just let it lay naturally and then cut it right below that bottom lip where the bottom edge is actually on the threads. So I'm going to skip one of the lines, and just every other line I am going to apply one of these strips on the outside of the jar all the way around. So here are all of my lines applied on the jar, and they're nice and secure into place. Just rub your finger along them and they should stay nice and cozy on there. And you want to repeat this for both of your jars. So now we want to take our painted finials, and we don't need the screws, so grab a pair of pliers and just unscrew the finial from the screw. It comes apart really easy, so you have a nice flat surface to adhere this to the top of the jars. Now we're going to place one on the top as shown here, and again, use your E6000 if you want this to be permanent, but I am using hot glue for this project. You just place it on top with a little hot glue to secure it into place. And then you can grab your candle holders, which are now dry. They turned out amazing. So now you decide how you want to light these. You can use fairy lights or battery votives, anything of your choice. Now what I'm doing is testing out my fairy lights. They all work. So what I'm going to do is wrap them around my hand, and then I'm going to put that bundle up inside the little globe there along with the battery pack. And then all I have to do is screw that into the top of the base, and there you go. You have one of your lamps. And look at these, you guys. I just love how these turned out. Now these lamp posts are so stylish and can be decorated throughout the year for any season. And I love the soft glow of the lighting too. Now when you top these off with the finials, it just totally upgrades the look, and they can be made in any color or height that you like. Now you all have to let me know, what do you guys think about these lamp posts? Let me know in the comments below. Now this project is for a house autumn decor piece. Now I'm going to be using a scrap 24-inch piece of a 1x4 I had left over, and you can get these at the Home Depot. I also need one 5-gallon paint stir stick, and I'll need some wood letters from the Dollar Tree. So what I'm going to do is I am going to cut my pieces down. I'm going to cut one piece at 7 inches, one piece at 8 inches, and a third piece at 9 inches. Now after I cut that length of wood, I went back and I cut the tops into a point as shown here, just by cutting them at an angle. So now that we have the wood pieces cut, we're going to grab that one 5-gallon stir stick, and we're going to use this piece to actually be the base so these houses will stand upright. So I'm just measuring the length of the bottom of the houses, and I'm going to grab my miter box to cut these. Since this is a fairly small job, I'm going to go ahead and just cut those pieces down to size with my miter box, and now that we have that piece, we can fit that on the bottom of each one of the house. We're going to repeat this 2 more times, so we'll have one for each house. So now we can apply it to the bottom of the house, and in order to do this, I am going to be using my Surebonder wood stick hot glue. Just run a line along the bottom and place that stick right down the center of the bottom, and just repeat this for all 3 of your houses. Now once they're all adhered, we are going to reinforce that attachment with our staple gun. So I'm just going to put 2 staples into the bottom of the stand for all 3 houses. So now that they're all together, we can go ahead and paint these. Now I'm going to be using a red and green and an orange color, and I'll put the colors in the description box. And I just want to add some to my palette here that I will be working with. Now I'm also going to be using a black color as well. Now I'll be using the black to tint those colors to mute them a little more. Now what I want to do is take my main color and just put a dot of the black in there. Now I did put too much black in my orange, so I am going to start over on that color. So I'm adding orange again and just putting the slightest bit of black, and you see I just wanted a slight tint to mute the brightness of the color. So then I'm just going to paint that orange onto one of the houses, and I want to cover the entire front and sides of the house as shown here. Now for the next one, we are going to do the greenhouse. So again, I'm going to lightly tint that green and blend it in, and then I want to paint one of my houses green. Then for the last house, I wanted it to be like a brick red, so I tinted that red a little bit, and I'm going to paint that last house this red color. And now you just allow these to completely dry. So now that my houses are dry, this is the fun part, we can now decorate them. So I'm going to be using these large craft sticks that I got from Lowe's for 98 cents and then stain them with some Waverly Antique Wax. Now I've already had some on hand that were already stained, so I'm just going to go ahead and start adding them to my houses. Now this will act as the roof for my house, so I'm going to lay it on top as shown here and mark those edges and then trim them down to fit the top edge of the house where it is arched as shown. So our pencil marks will transfer to our sticks and just lay them in place. Now once we have that first piece cut, we're going to go ahead and adhere it with our hot glue. Go ahead and adhere it to the top of the house as shown here. And then for the second part of the roof trim, we just take that same piece and it's cut at the perfect angle on one side to fit. So just trim that other side down and then cut that, and we should be able to fit that right in place. Now we're just going to check the measurements, everything looks good, and we could adhere it right next to it. And there you go, one of the tops of our houses are done, and we're going to repeat this for our other two houses as shown here. So now what I want to do is add some lettering to my houses. So I have these wood letters and I want to spell out autumn. Now I had to use 2 packs because I used 2 letter U's. And what I wanted them to look like is aluminum. So I'm going to spray paint them with some brilliant aluminum spray paint as shown here. And here is what they look like. So now they kind of look like metal. Now I did want to mute this a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some of this really dark rustic red color. And I'm going to actually just dab it on the corners and edges of some of the letters to make it look like the letters are kind of rustic. I love to do this to my metal pieces. It just gives it so much character. So now what I want to do is take those letters and I want to lay them across the houses, putting 2 letters on each house, and just make sure they're in the right place the way I like them. Now once they are, we can go ahead and hot glue all those letters down across the houses. So once those are nice and adhered, we can add some more accents how we like. So the next thing I wanted to do was tie some jute twine around the bottom. So I'm kind of just making this up as I go, just having fun with this project. And I think jute twine, it just looks so rustic, and I love, love, love the way it looks on projects, especially wood. So I just wrapped 3 or 4 rounds around the bottom of each house, and I'm going to hot glue the tails in the back. And this is what it looks like, and we're just going to repeat this for the remaining of the houses. And here they all are. Now for the final touch, I'm going to use some of these fall leaves that I also picked up from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to pick about 3 of the different colored leaves and kind of bundle them together. And I wanted to put them right at the top center of the house just to give it a little bit of that autumn fall flair. So I'm just going to stack 3 together and hot glue them all into place as shown on each one of the houses. Now once those are all in place, I wanted to accent the top of them. I was looking for mini pine cones, but I couldn't find any. So what I'm going to do is just top it off with this wonderful buffalo check ribbon. I mean, what would fall be without a little buffalo check? So I'm just going to tie a little tiny ribbon, and once I get that ribbon all tied and the edges nice and trimmed, I'm going to place it right in the center of that leaf bundle, and I'm going to make one for each one of the tops of the houses and then hot glue them in place. And once those are all in place, you are ready to decorate with your piece. And here they are. Now you can sit these out and place them on display. Now I'm so in love with these seasonal colors in this piece. And the metallic letters really turned out great too. Now you just add any accent or decor that you love for this piece and make it your own. There are so many possibilities with these little houses. Now this project is a farmhouse truck wall decor. Now we're going to need one of these pumpkins from the Dollar Tree. Now I picked this one up last year, but as you can see, they are out again this year too, and this is the new style. Now I'm also going to use a page from the new 2022 Farm Fresh calendar for this project, but you can use any calendar image that you like. And I'll need a couple of fall picks from the Dollar Tree. Okay, we're going to start by grabbing our piece and we're going to lay out a piece of paper because we will be painting this top piece. So what I wanted to do is kind of mute this metal piece on top instead of ripping it off. So what I'm going to do is paint over the top of it with some black acrylic paint. Now we're just going to add one nice layer. We don't have to be perfect with it because I will be showing it, but I didn't want that shiny reflective metal showing through the accent that I'll place on top. So we're just going to put one coat on there and let it dry. Now once that does dry, what we're going to do is grab our calendar. Now these calendars have some awesome truck pictures, but I was looking more for the fall pictures. So the October and November pictures are awesome, but I absolutely love this November black truck. I thought it would be perfect for this project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay that truck picture right on top, and once I think it's nice and center, I'm just going to rub my fingers along the edge so I can kind of get the outline transferred over to the calendar image. Now once we do that, I'm going to take this glue stick and I am going to go over this whole, all four of those slats actually, with the glue stick all over. I decided to do it this way instead of Mod Podge because Mod Podge really does cause a lot of these to wrinkle, and I think the glue stick works so well and prevents a lot of that annoying wrinkling. So once you place it on top and match up your lines, I'm just going to smooth it out with my hand, and I'm going to take a balled up dry paper towel and just continue rubbing the image until it's nice and bonded, and I think this helped reduce any kind of wrinkling that happened to try to appear in my project. So once it's nice and bonded, I'm going to take my utility knife and I'm going to trim around the edge, trimming off all of the excess image of the calendar sheet that I have here. And now that that's removed, I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to remove that top flap, making sure you don't cut all the way through and disconnect it from the top piece, just trimming off that top edge. And then flipping it over to the back, we're going to carefully go along with our utility knife and cut out the gaps between the slaps with a X-Acto knife or utility knife, and then remove those carefully. Now once those are all removed, you can flip it over to see if you missed any spots and do any last minute cleanup. And so here is our truck image all nice and transferred, and it looks great. So now that that's done, we're going to add some accents, and I'm going to use some of these floral picks that I got from the Dollar Tree. They have some great floral picks in stock right now. So I'm trimming about 2 inches off each edge and kind of just bunching them together as shown here, really easy. Once the bunch looks good, I'm flipping the whole thing over. I'm adding a generous amount of hot glue to the back and placing it right on top of that black portion that we just painted, and we want to make sure it's nice and center. Now, as an additional upgrade, I wanted to replace the hang string with this buffalo check ribbon. I just think that the buffalo check really looks good along with the image. So I'm going to tape it in the same, or actually hot glue it into the same place that the other band was in, and I'm going to trim off the other band, just being careful not to cut any of those staples. And now just flip your piece over. You've got your buffalo check hang piece, your florals, and your truck, and it looks great. And here is the final finished hanging wall piece, and it looks fantastic. Now I love how all these elements came together in this piece, and this truck is just so perfect for this sign. Now I had so much fun making all of these awesome projects today, and it's always so hard for me to choose a favorite. So you all have to let me know in the comments which one of these projects was your favorite today. Listen, if you love DIYs on a budget, please give this video a thumbs up and share this video with your friends. Make sure that you're following She's So Crafty EE on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest for the latest news, sneak peeks, and giveaways. Now, if you like videos like these and don't want to miss the next one, make sure you're subscribed by clicking that subscribe button below, or just click on my She's So Crafty logo on your screen, and make sure you hit that bell to be notified when the next DIY goes live. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.